Welcome back, guys. Octane Addict Autos channel. This is Dana. We took the day to go up to Speedtech. We're gonna go meet Cameron and walk through and check out what really sets Speedtech apart from the rest. This is some awesome manufacturing site. They got some really cool stuff. Let's go see what they got. Just got up here to St. George, Utah, walked into Speedtech. I want to introduce you guys to Cameron, tell you a little bit about what they got going on out here. How you been, man?
Good. Man,
good.
I'm glad you made it.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're super excited. We've got a lot going on, though. You know, as we met at LS Fest just a month ago or so, and we've been talking, and I'm happy to show you our factory here.
That'd be awesome. Let's do a little walkthrough and go check out what they got.
All right, let's do it. All right, so our building's kind of split into two. And as you see this side here, this is where we do all of our R&D, essentially, new products, which then turn into builds and whatnot. We've got a pretty good variety of builds, as you can see, from Ford trucks. That's actually my Chevy truck right there.
Nice.
Corvette, Scout, C1 Corvette.
So you're literally taking on builds in the process, manufacturing, you know, basically a model of a chassis that then could potentially be something that you guys end up offering. That's awesome.
Yeah, so what we do is we look for builds of things. I mean, at this point, we've built 1,000 Camaros, right? Yeah. Like, we're kind of done just doing something that happens all the time, right? And so we're not doing a build unless we can develop a whole product based off of that build. So
makes sense.
As we'll see when we get to the other side over here, we've got a C1 Corvette that we've never done a chassis for, and we're developing actually 2 different chassis for this car specifically.
Why is that? So you can have both options if you wanted to go IRS?
IRS or torque arm.
That's awesome.
Because these were a straight axle car to begin with. And so they didn't start introducing the IRS till the later models of Corvette. And so to get the IRS, you're gonna have to do something with the floor, cut it somehow or whatnot, and some people don't want to do that to these cars. Yeah. So we are developing a straight axle version of this chassis for those who want to keep it more factory inside.
That's really cool.
So yeah, basically what happens though is the car comes in. This was a running and driving car last week. And our engineer scans it. That's why there's all this dust and these dots. He 3D scans it, and then they tear it apart. He scans the factory chassis. So with our chassis, it's important that we make them mount to the factory locations,
right?
So it's just easier to install. And so once he scans it, then he goes to the computer and he builds it all through CAD that way first. We can check all of our clearances, and then we'll build the prototype chassis.
Saves a lot of time later.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
A lot of time. So
how many of you guys here are running on Speedtech chassis, full chassis, or any of the other components?
Yeah, so we've got a guy running our IRS setup for a Camaro with a twin turbo LS.
Nice.
1,000 horsepower. We've got another guy that runs a C2 Corvette with the IRS chassis. Another Camaro, and we've got a guy building a Chevelle. These are all just directly our employees here in-house.
That's so cool.
They're personal cars.
Yeah.
And so we've got a handful of them that are all building with Speedtech stuff.
Well, my understanding is actually quite a bit of race pedigree in the shop as well. A lot of these guys are out doing autocross and participating in race somehow.
We have guys that are big in the off-road industry as well. So some sort of motorsports, everybody here is involved, which is pretty cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, so, I mean, we got a chance to talk out at LS Fest, but obviously I had my 70 Chevelle stock frame. I mean, it was a really nice build, but it still had a stock frame, obviously, you know, stiffened and stuff. But man, when I saw you guys out there, we started talking about the 66 we're building down in Arizona right now, and I'm just getting really excited. We just had a call with Sean Smith just a couple of weeks ago. We're getting really close to blowing it apart for paint. It's getting really dialed in. But again, it's stock frame, stiffened, this, you know, tubbed and all the rest of it. Like, it's gonna look great. But I'm getting really curious to see what you know, what I might be able to do in the future and start looking at an IRS. it's a substantial step up, right? Like it's a little bit more expensive, but the performance and the ride quality, from my understanding, is just it's not comparable. It's not another level.
It's completely unmatched. Well, you know, when we were talking IRS, we've actually got a customer. We do have a Chevelle chassis here that is IRS, and I want to show you it. And what's pretty cool about this chassis is he's building this because, so he works in the tech world. All of his friends are Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren, you know, all that. He's calling this one the exotic killer. So it's going to have our chassis under a 70 Chevelle with the Nelson Racing twin turbo, alien intake. You know, it's going to be like a 1600 horsepower car. And it's sitting on our chassis. So right over here, it's actually, this is a good example of everything we offer for a Chevelle. So this has all of our bolt-on stuff on a factory chassis with our frame stiffening kit.
Yep.
And then this is our IRS chassis. So you can really see the difference between the two of them as they sit.
And then who do you guys use for the steering setups?
So on our chassis, this one's like Sweet Manufacturing.
Sweet.
And the thing that kind of sets us apart is it's a dual power system.
Right.
So it's got 2 ramps instead of just one.
Yeah.
Because when you're running 315s in the front, you need that extra push, you know?
315s up front is just, it's mind-boggling to me.
And you get over 30 degrees of steering.
That's incredible.
It's super cool. And then our IRS, I mean, this one's running, I think, 355s in the rear.
For reference point, this is the same size tire I was running on my 70 in the rear.
Yeah. And now it's in the front.
Yeah. You're able to get that much more clearance. I mean, get some
inside
rubber.
the factory fender.
That's incredible. So you really get the performance, but you can keep that. I mean, you know, I'm muscle car guy, right? So it's like you really get to keep kind of that classic feel of the car as far as like what the body is. You don't necessarily have to do widen.
Right.
It looks good, but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Now you have an option to make that fit, and I guarantee that's a hell of a lot cheaper than widening your car.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
No question. And then here's kind of the crown jewel, you know, of this chassis. When we designed this back in 2019, we actually won Good Guy's New Product of the Year with it. So people have done cantilever designs, but we wanted our own take on it, and the way the engineers put this together is this actually has about 110% motion ratio.
That's awesome. So it doesn't just look cool, it's actually performance.
It functions very well. It's fully tunable where it's IRS. You can tune your caster, camber, toe, everything on each corner now, and so your chassis is going to perform exactly how you want it to.
So many applications. That's really cool.
Yeah, I love it. And this setup right here is built for 1,800 horsepower. I mean, International Harvester is an agricultural company.
Right.
So they built a truck starting in the 60s, basically as a farm truck. Kind of looked like a Jeep-ish almost. That's what this is. Customer wanted hot rod, beach cruiser kind of look with it. And so when it's actually on the chassis, on its wheels and tires, you know, the rocker's only 4 inches off the ground. Everything's been basically custom repaired or built at this point because no one makes pieces for them. And if you notice on the rear here, these caps are actually 3D printed. They haven't been body worked or anything yet, but they'll have custom tail lights. The whole back end's been custom built from scratch. Like I said, all these body panels have been fit or completely custom. The hood is the factory hood, but we trimmed it to fit around the cowl where we put the new windshield in, and then trimmed this up. The whole grill, everything's kind of looks like factory, but not. This is actually a C10 bumper that we made fit here. Firewall's all custom. I mean, it's going to be a pretty tricky little ride when it's done.
How many cars do you guys think you're building a year?
They come in and out, I would say maybe 12, but that's a rolling, you know, like this car's already been here for 4 or 5 months, you know, in the development stages and everything. And so,
well, you're also fabricating, like you're doing projects intentionally so that you can work on some of the stuff you're producing and selling, you know, to the masses. If I go to a shop down the road and they call up Speedtech and get a full chassis sent, my project just chopped off quite a significant amount of time. You not only have to scan everything in, you have to fabricate it and then figure out how to mass produce it. So there's a lot more time that's going into any of the builds that are coming through. But
absolutely.
That's so cool.
last year and the year before, we released our full weld-in series of, we started with the B body, like the Chargers, where basically you cut the floor out, rocker to rocker, you weld in a whole new chassis. We have a whole floor for it, it's IRS. Then we released it for Mustang, and then we released it for first gen Camaro, and now we're developing it for second gen Camaro also. Because let's face it, a lot of these cars, you have to replace most of the floor anyways, for rust or whatever. So while you're cutting it out, why not weld in all brand new technology?
Yeah.
I want to point out something our engineers do and have done is we use 3D printing. If you've ever had custom headers built or had to build them, we bill out 40 hours for them.
Yeah.
And at $100-something bucks an hour, who wants to pay $4,000 for headers? So our engineers have an engine scan, they have the chassis scan, they have all that. So then they just design the headers to fit. With the flanges and everything on there, you can actually bolt it up and say, okay.
Make sure your fitment's just right before you actually start building. That's so cool.
And now we send that off to the header manufacturer. They already have all the angles properly, and now you're off to the races. So we have a big 3D printer upstairs that prints like a meter cubed. It's huge. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So that kind of wraps up this side.
Cool.
On the other side is where all the manufacturing magic happens and everything. So
let's go see some manufacturing.
Let's go check it out. All right, so let's go check out the manufacturing side.
So this is where you're actually building frames for customers or for, you know, sale to the market?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So all the raw stuff comes in here, whether it's laser cut pieces for a chassis or tube for control arms or whatever it is. We have 7 different CNC machines that are all running, doing all various things, such as like our spindle. It's something that we designed. It's a forged aluminum piece. We use a C7 Corvette hub, and we machine all that here in-house after we get the forgings in. Yeah, they manufacture this way, and then this is just kind of warehouse, pieces getting ready to be shipped out. When someone orders a chassis, it can take a minute. You know, this is a subframe crate here for Lakeside Speed out of Arizona. We'll load all that with everything, and then finally when it's ready to go, then we ship it out. This rack of chassis are all either waiting to be picked up or ready to be sent to powder coat. We've got a Chevelle chassis there for Dustin at Nostalgia. Yeah. Straight axle setup, IRS.
Yeah, we made good buddies with Dustin down at Nostalgia. Y'all should come down there sometime, check out his shop.
I'd love it. He's got...
I've seen him up here enough.
Yeah, he's got 3 or 4 builds going with our stuff on it right now.
Yeah.
And I need to make it down because we're only an hour and a half from Vegas. So,
I mean, I made the drive up here from Vegas this morning.
Yeah,
smooth, easy.
Exactly. So all of our chassis pieces are laser cut, CNC bent, and then they go together like a big puzzle, essentially. So they'll have a sub laser number on them.
Yeah.
And then when they get their book, it says this piece matches with this piece, and then you weld it here and whatnot.
That's awesome.
That's what happens here. All of our welders. We actually have a 70. We saw that other one on the other side. Here's a 70 Chevelle IRS chassis getting welded up right now. And this one doesn't have an owner yet.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying, up for adoption.
So let me know in the comments if we should pick up this chassis and start a 70 build. What do you think? Let me know.
So that's what he's finishing up right now. It's looking good. This whole gantry system we put in has been so handy.
Oh my God, I can only imagine.
Now it's a one-man show to be able to flip it. Before it was a 3-man job with a forklift and the whole thing. So,
oh my God.
Which helps us get our chassis out faster. That's one thing that's important to us, is when we produce a chassis, we'll do them in a run or we'll do them so that we can get them out as fast as possible. And so it's very important to us to keep our lead times down. You know, so if you call us up and you're like, hey, I want a chassis, we don't always just have them here, right? It could sometimes take, might want to walk this way, it's going to be loud. So something that we always do is we try to keep our lead times down, and so we try to make everything as efficient as possible. So if you call us up and say, hey, I want a chassis, okay, cool, 8 to 10 weeks instead of 8 to 10 months, like some other places. I'm going to let you drool over this as we walk by.
Oh my God,
now
man.
that he's moved it from another. But up here we've got All the assembly and shipping department, everything's up in this part of the building. Control arms will come back from powder coating and put in the bushing, the greasers, the ball joints.
Yeah.
You know, they assemble the hardware kits. They do all the tedious little stuff. That's kind of the tour. That's kind of what we've got here.
Man, you got a rad shop out here.
Cool.
Good group of guys. Everybody I met was super, you know, everybody's having fun.
Yeah.
You guys have an awesome name for yourself. If you guys haven't seen any of their stuff on, you know, YouTube, any of their social media, Instagram, go check out Speedtech if you haven't already, for Christ's sake. But they got all kinds of cool stuff up here. It's worth stopping by. You know, if you need to upgrade your ride, make sure you check out Speedtech. I don't think this is the last we'll be seeing you, though.
I hope not.
One of these days, we're gonna get something working. One of these days.
Cool,
Hey,
man. I
man.
appreciate you.
Thank you for having us up. It was fun to check out the shop.
Anytime.
All right, man.
Okay.